So guys, you heard Nicolas Dufourcq. We need cash. We need money. These people in the room, they need money. I want you to share some advice. So what would it take to create AI leaders in Europe? Have you been already investing in what you consider future AI leaders in Europe? Who want to take that first one?
I want to take this because we were investors in his company, so we are very clearly investing in leaders, and he's now with Facebook. But what does it take? I think what it takes is people trying ballsy things, being audacious in things that are being tried. I think that's the most important thing. From happy to hear your view, but I think people not trying audacious enough things, that's maybe a bigger criticism in my mind.
And by audacity, what do you mean? Like they are not trying to conquer the American market, they are staying local, or it's just a question of volume, or their technology is not advanced enough?
I think you can take many different examples. We are a Berlin-based fund, but we invest across Europe, very heavily in France too. But as a German person and German venture fund, I still find it funny that given the importance, say, of the automotive industry in Germany, there has not been such a thing like a cruise in Germany, or in Europe for that fact, maybe one company in the UK that is a bit in that direction. But it's very few people who are trying these, still even these relatively obviously large bets like in autonomous driving.
Yeah,
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I'd say I agree with that. So I think it also depends. We were talking about, Element AI, for example, raising 100 million and that being a big deal. But if we just take a step back and take the European horse blinders off, SenseTime in China raised, a single 600 million round for a total of 1.2 billion in funding. And there's, when you look at the top 5 largest AI companies, 3 are in China, 2 are in the US. But in Europe, we do have the talent, we do have the market, we do have the ecosystem, but it is that finding what are the things we can do here that are really great. And we're seeing things in manufacturing, in automotive. We invested in a company called 5AI, which is, very ambitious, very risky, but very ambitious. But, I think it's not fair to just look at the startups and kind of go, why are they not being more ambitious? I think the funds like ourselves are a bit smaller here. The market can be smaller. Europe is a large economy, but still moving from country to country isn't always the same. And then ultimately, the acquisitions are, the companies buying companies here are American, and we still, I think the greatest thing that keeps me up at night isn't the startups not being ambitious enough, it's the FTSE and CAC 40 companies letting the drivers of this industrial revolution get acquired by foreign companies more than anything.
Okay, we have a foreign company sitting at this panel, which is not CAC 40. Would you agree with what has been said? And I just mentioned earlier with Nicolas that when you look at US large corporations, they're investing 6 times more in AI startups than their European counterparts. How would you explain that? Why?
Yeah, I had a hard time to realize that. So the fact that the talent acquisition is really at such a high level, it's completely insane, I have to say. I can see that. So we just joined Facebook 2 months ago after creating our startup Bloomsbury AI in London. And I really realized that they are really struggling to find experienced people with more than 10 or 15 years of experience in top conference in AI. They are really very hard to find. And within Facebook, they are struggling to find experienced people. So that's one thing, which is talent. But to go back to your questions about we need cash, I would say yes, we need cash, but not any types of cash. So when you're just at seed funds, what you want is to also find smart cash. People who are supporting you, which have this American mindset, which are not too conservative, put a lot of trust in the
How
founder.
would you define this American mindset? I mean, compared to the European mindset
So
or
the
French
best
mindset?
example is Gabriel. So I had 6 VCs in
I paid him to say that.
I had 6 VCs in our startups because for many reasons. 2 of them have a very strong American mindset. This is Entrepreneur First. It's an accelerator who just opened an office here in Paris. and Fly VC, who is a German-based fund, but they invest all across Europe, and they really are putting a lot of trust first in the founders, but also in grand ideas which are leading to a unicorn or fail or go to, let's say, an earlier exit, I would say.
And why did you get acquired? Would you advise this to someone in the room? Because we just said with Nicolas that we need AI giants, and you got acquired. So would you advise these people in the room to get acquired or to follow their dreams and become a unicorn?
Look, when you create a startup, you take high risks. We took a high risk in relying on a technology before having a market that was ready and the technology that would fit this market. But what VC money enables us is to try. And we had an amazing, and it's now open source, what we have done. But it's true that for many reasons, I can go, but it would require much more than 20 minutes to explain why, in our case, it did not work. We did not have all the components to continue going as quickly as what we hoped, but also the offers that we got made us choose to find a different path. And I think it's very good to have this ability to also have an exit, because at least a failure is not a failure. It's still it's still a success, because we are still continuing working in what we wanted. So as an academic, I have an academic mindset. My co-founder is one of the top academic in his field, which is called machine comprehension. That's what you want. You don't want to completely ruin yourself, whole your career. And having examples of exits helps a lot other creators to follow your path, which is creating a startup instead of maybe choosing a more a less risky type of
I want you guys to hear your thoughts about exits.
Or this is more just on Guillaume in general. So I was at the EF demo day when you pitched, actually, and just any potential founder in the room, if you were he looks like a nice guy now, but if you were looking for someone who's a deep subject matter expert and extremely passionate, his pitch was both inspiring and extremely scary for anyone in the audience. Definitely someone you should turn to for some advice, because having some of the best advisors we have in our companies are those that have started something and worked on the corporate side with vast amounts of resources, and getting both points of views tends to make the best advisors for an early stage company.
So maybe adding to that, as was mentioned earlier, this building local champions, I sincerely believe that we need that. We will have to have European companies that could become a home to Guillaume and his team in the future. That being said, I think from an individual, that's a macro perspective, and someone at BPI France can say that. But as a founder, that's you don't change the ecosystem. You're just a single founder. And I think from a single founder perspective, my view, and that's what I was trying to say initially, right, is not to complain people are not daring enough. But I think there's an interesting lesson learned in what Guillaume and Bloomsbury did, and some other companies have done for a long time in the US. That is, if you try something that's very, very hard, very, very audacious, with a very, very strong team, you can take, I would say, extreme risk, and there are different paths to personal success. But if you think you do something that is somewhat de-risked, that sort of soft landing that you could potentially get at a very large company is a lot less likely. But actually, more importantly, from the perspective of building these large success stories, is also a lot less likely. We will need more people to start something that can be very, very significant, like a SenseTime, even though there's like some specific China elements into that. But we will need these companies, and I think also, from a European perspective, we will probably need them across different countries in different sub-segments.
I want to go back on this European perspective. When you're a German VC, you invest in France. What would it take to create AI leaders in Europe? Where do you think are the next AI leaders in Europe? We just saw a map. Nicolas mentioned Scandinavia. We mentioned a lot France, Germany. Where do you think these AI leaders are, and why?
So from our point of view, we really have like roughly a third of our investments in Germany, a third in Paris, and then a third in London. And what we see is there's different topical strengths in different countries, and I think that's a great thing. I think that's something we shouldn't try to compete for this stuff in Europe. We should just recognize that there's some topics that I think are much more likely for me to be a great investment than Germany. Say we're investors in a company that does heavy automation of key process in insurance. Given the large amount of insurance companies we have in Germany, this is a great country to start such a company in seed, because you have a lot of local customers. If you start something that serves financial regulation, I'm sure London is a much better place to start this, because the banks there have become much more open to try things like that. And there's other topics for which I think the sheer amount of talent that I think in France is better than, and frankly, almost anywhere else on the continent. It's much more likely for this type of company to be here. And we should be proud about these differences and just leverage them. And it's not Germany versus France. It's really like, oh, who's good at what, and let them excel, like it was mentioned earlier.
Guillaume, I saw you shaking your head. You talk a lot at international events. How would you compare to other ecosystems?
The main reason why I left France to go to London was for these reasons. So access to customers, access to investment, because at this time, 3 years ago, France was not ready. I think it has changed recently. But also talent. The access to talent is really important. And France is quite strong here and can change the game. But in London, you have 3 of the top 10 universities in the world, and that makes a real difference.
Would you agree with that?
I would agree with the change in ecosystem. So, why DeepMind in London X amount of years ago versus another city? It's the capital, the funding, the accelerators, the clients. But now when you look at an ecosystem like Berlin or France, as you said, there wasn't an EF in Paris when you started Bloomsbury, but there is now. There's been great success stories where the founders are now giving advice to the ecosystem. There's a lot of capital. So I think nowadays, I don't know if it would make sense to move from Paris to London to start a company. But to dive into what you were saying, it's not just the industries you're targeting, but AI is a broad term. And so in Paris, we're seeing a lot of really interesting things being done on premise. So on the edge, same as in Germany for the IoT and factory spaces. We're seeing different things in London. So I'd say it's not just sector-based, but also field-based. And as you said, there's no need to try to harmonize and build one European hub. It's actually our strength.
You guys all mentioned market size. You mentioned it for the UK. You mentioned it also for if we want to go into insurance in Germany. What will it take to create AI leaders in Europe, or maybe from Europe? It's a strategic decision that most founders have to make once they start their AI business. Is what's my next country? Should I expand? I don't know, in Germany, in the UK from Paris, or straight to the US? Should I look into the Chinese market? Do you think we can build AI leaders in Europe, or should we build AI leaders from Europe?
Just to dive into that one real quick, I don't think if you're planning on should I expand to the US or to China, it's not really an AI business. It's just a business that sells. It's not a research project. It's a heavy commercial endeavor that happens to be using AI. At least that's what it looks like by the Series B. You can't build a massive business by just selling in Europe your whole life. But on that interesting note, one of the things we've been seeing a lot of our companies do is it used to be a default reflex open in the US first. And now we have quite a few companies within our portfolio that actually went to Singapore first to sell in East Asia. And I think that trend's only going to accelerate over the next 5 years.
Gabriel?
We are a seed fund, so our general perspective at first is not which other countries to open. And I think sometimes that's, this is a very broadly discussed question. But initially, I think if you start a company, and especially in like applied AI, or applied machine learning to be more precise, I think what you need local heroes on which you can grow to be substantial enough to at all ever get to the point that you can answer that question, that you can at all get to the point that you're like, hey, we have built something with a local customer that we were close enough that gives us enough strength and a large enough team to be able to now penetrate China. I know this is a bit different because you invest slightly after us, but I just think that's very, very important to get this straight. And there, I think there's a local element to that. And then thereafter, yeah, I think it's great that there are a lot of technologies where maybe the most ideal path is now to look east, not west, right?
I like the idea of local heroes. There are several local heroes in the room. If you had to give them one advice, you know, one sentence and in English, just Nicolas Dufourcq type, it would be amazing. Guillaume, one advice, one sentence in English, please.
Try it, there is nothing to lose.
Amazing.
So mine is be bold.
Yeah, I'm going to echo Guillaume's one. The cost of failure is minimal these days. You can spin everything on AWS. There's great talent. It's the time to raise capital. So yeah, you have nothing to lose to go out and try it.
That was a Nicolas Dufourcq sentence. Thanks a lot, guys. Big round of applause for them.